Hi everyone, my name is Stacy Penna. I'm with QSR International. So welcome to the webinar, Accelerating Your Literature Review with NVivo. And just some housekeeping to help you with questions and getting around the GoToWebinar menu. So in the top right hand corner of your screen, there's an orange box with a white arrow. If you just click on the white arrow, it'll open up the menu and you'll see a couple things. There's a question area, so feel free to type in questions at any time. What I'll do is at the end of the presentation, I'm happy to take your questions, and my colleague Alex, who's helping me, will read the questions out and then he'll answer if it's relevant at the time too as we go through. I also have included a handout. So under handouts, if you open that, you'll see a PDF of the PowerPoint slides that I'm going through today. So feel free to download that. And with that, I will start the webinar. And also, just so you know, you are on mute, just so everyone can hear me. And we are recording this, so you'll get a copy of the recording too with a follow-up email. So just to introduce myself, again, Stacy Penna, I'm the NVivo Community Director for QSR, which means that I am establishing a community and a practice around a qualitative and mixed methods research. And the idea behind the community is to connect fellow researchers across organizations and within disciplines. So part of what that is this webinar series I'm doing where we've started podcasts. We also are working with organizations and universities to create what we're calling NVivo research networks. So if you're interested in that, you can let me know. And Alex is going to share in the question area or in the webinar area this link, so you can go right in and just sign up for the community if you're interested, and I'll talk more about it at the end also. So first off, because whenever we do these webinars, we have a mix of people that use NVivo and people that are newer to the software. So I just like to talk about how NVivo can help you really throughout your research process. So NVivo helps you manage your data and your research process, but it doesn't dictate how you do that. So we like to say it's methodologically agnostic. So whatever method you're using, NVivo can help you with that. And it also has some automation tools. We have a transcription product that will transcribe your audio and video for you in about half the time. Think of it as a transcription assistant. I won't be showing that today because we're doing literature review, but on our website you can learn more about it. And also I'll be showing you our automated insights. It also helps you with your rigorous analysis, so that's where the coding comes in and the queries you can create in NVivo. And then it also has ways to share your findings, so you can create maps, charts, and visualizations. So I'll be showing that to you. And you could help you collaborate with your colleagues and teams with our NVivo for Teams product. NVivo supports all these different types of data sources, so you can import those into NVivo. So you have bibliographical software here, which is obviously very important with the literature review. We integrate with those. SurveyMonkey, Qualtrics, also SPSS now, and then PDFs and Word documents too. Even though today I'm going to be concentrating on the literature review, I just wanted to talk again how researchers tend to use NVivo throughout their research process in this way. So I'll be concentrating on the literature review, where you can import your libraries, organize your articles, and analyze those articles in NVivo. But going beyond the literature review with your own data, NVivo can help you with your themes, so coding them, linking to data, jump-starting your analysis, which I'll also be showing you that with the literature review. And then you can go deeper with your data and your research using our queries. And then it'll also help you with your findings. So one reason I bring this up is I actually used NVivo for my own literature review a few years back. And what I found really helpful is I had my literature review in the software. I had my own data I was collecting and analyzing. So those are very close to each other, so I could reorganize them to help me write my findings. I found that really, really helpful with the software. And then the idea is to help you with your final report, whether that be a dissertation, journal, article, or book. So today's agenda, we'll be going through these different parts of the software. So importing your sources, coding PDFs, because it's primarily going to be journal articles in PDF format, using externals, how to use the codes and cases in the literature review, lexical and coding queries, the framework matrix, and then throughout I'll be showing you how to visualize your data. So just to go through to show you how NVivo really can take you through the literature review process, I just wanted to sort of talk about that process. So you know, you're going to be collecting and managing your articles and organizing those, also searching through the literature, and then you need to interpret and analyze the articles and what you're reading, and finding gaps, and then reviewing and writing and updating that. So with NVivo, you can collect and manage these your articles through a few different ways. So if you have an article that's a PDF, you just import it. But if you're using bibliographical software, you can also import the information about the article, so the date of publication, the author, all that stuff, and also the abstract. But you can also import the actual article to read and code on. We also have a tool called Encapture that comes with NVivo. It's on your web browser, and let's say you're finding an article that's on a website, you can actually encapture that, and NVivo creates it as a PDF so you can work in it. And then, like I did read books, and so what I did in that case is in NVivo you can create a document and type in your notes about the book so that you have it all there in one place. And then it's really easy to view the literature through different lenses. So I'll be showing you how you can do a text search, or maybe there's keywords you need to find in the literature, word frequency. The word clouds are a nice visual to help you see what's in the literature, and then also show you how to auto code. And then organizing and analyzing what's possible. And so again, the word frequency, the coding, annotation, and memos. I'll be showing you how to do that. And then we also have different tools to discover gaps, relations, and variances. So I'll be showing you some maps, the queries, explore diagram, and again, the memos can help you with that. And then, of course, you're going to need to write and link back to the sources, which you can all do in NVivo. So again, this is all in that PDF that I shared. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go right to the software. So I'm in NVivo, and this is actually a project that's focused on literature reviews. And for those of you sort of new to NVivo, I just want to show you the layout a little. So on top we have a ribbon here, different tabs to get to the different ribbons. And then on the left is really where you're going to be organizing your literature and your coding and your queries. So that's how you can get to all the different parts of the project. And then the middle here is really your where you're going to be working, your workspace. So it's set up a lot like Outlook, so it might look familiar to you. So what I'm going to start out with is just showing you where if I go to the import tab, you can see I can go to files and bring in my PDFs. NVivo makes a copy of the PDF and brings it in. But you can also see we have integration with all the different bibliographical software, and that you export out of the bibliographical software and then import into NVivo. You can also, if you have notes in Evernote or OneNote, and so on. And then also the Encapture I mentioned before. So what I'm first going to do is just go here. This is a project. The researcher was looking at ways people learn through different modalities or really on the go. So I'm a student working, but I'm trying to take a course, and I'm traveling or at home, you know, I'm doing a lot of studying outside of the classroom. So what does that look like? So that's what this is about. So you'll see those kind of terms. So what I'll do is I'll just open up one article. Actually, let me open up this one. So here's an article, and I can just start reading through it, deciding what are the important topics that I want to code and tag. So in this project, the researcher already has different folders holding, a way to organize her literature review. So here, I'm just going to go to Lit Review Themes, and so these are the themes that so far the researchers found important in the literature. So one thing, so I'm seeing the communication and different communication technologies. I think that's going to be important to me. So I want to highlight that and to code it. So I can highlight it and then I can drag it over into this area and I can create a name for it. And so now that comes in and now I have a new code or node called communication. So as I read through my literature, I would be coding to communication or these different themes that I'll be writing about in my lit review. So it's very simple to do that. Now, another part of this is while I'm reading, I might want to make a comment to myself, sort of like a note on the page. I can do that by using an annotation in NVivo. So I can highlight communication. For example, maybe I want to remind myself something about this and technology. And I can right click on it and say new annotation. So now I have this space at the bottom where I can write my note just to remind myself about something, or like you would normally in a piece of paper when you're reading it and writing a note to yourself. So what's nice is now this part is highlighted in blue, so I always know that has an annotation associated with it. And so if I had many annotations in this, I'd just be able to read them as click on them to see where they are in the article. Another thing researchers tend to do is while they're going through to help them sort of figure out what's in the literature or what's important for them to write about is a lot of times they'll also use memos. So here we have our memos. Some have already been created, but I'm going to create a new memo. I'm just going, I can do that a couple ways. I can right click and open space, or I can go to create here and click on memo. And so, so I'm just going to create a memo, thoughts on literature review. And I can now do a couple things. One thing is I can, I just want to show this because I think this is sort of cool. I can insert a date and time if I want, which I tended to do when I wrote my memos. And I can then type in my notes and keep track of what I'm thinking. And what I like about this is I have the article right here and my memo right here, so it's easy for me to go back and forth, so I can keep multiple items up. So that's just some ways people use the software as they're going through reading their articles. So what I just showed you is more of one at a time process. I'm reading through things, articles one at a time, but I can also use the software to help me look across articles in a few ways. So in this case, I'm going to go to Explore tab, and I'm going to do first off just a word frequency. So I want to see just what are the frequently used words in some of my articles. So I'm going to select some articles here. I could do all of them, or a few, or just certain authors. And I can do exact match, so I'll get the words, or I can do stem words, synonyms, and some specialization. So I'm going to do stem words here, and I'm going to run the query. And so you can see that it's showing me the words. Now, not surprising, mobility is coming up because that's something that, I picked those articles for a reason and showing me the similar words. And what's nice about this, I have a few visuals. So I can go to this word cloud and it'll show me the larger the word, the more often it's used in the articles I chose. So for example, if I want, I noticed that the internet is coming up. So I want to see, well, what did people say about the internet? I can right click on here and run a text search query right from the word cloud. So it's showing me here, these are the articles out of the 4 I picked, or 5 I picked, 3 talk about the internet. I have another visual I can use, sometimes people like, called a word tree, which is showing me the phrases before and after the word internet. So maybe is there something that's coming up that's important to me, research, anything I'm showing you that's a visual, you can always export to put into a report or a presentation if you needed to. And I'm just going to go back to references now. So here it's showing me what is actually being said before and after the word internet. But for me to read this, I need more content around it. So I'm just going to go, it says spread to, I'm going to ask the software to broaden the context, and I'll run the query again. So now I have more of a paragraph talking about what the articles are saying about the internet. So this gives me more content, and I can save this if I want to a code. So the software has already done the work for me. It found everyone that talked about internet. So I can name it, and it will actually create a code called internet. So I can go nodes, and it's right. Oop, I did too, because I did this before practicing. So I have it right there. Now, what's good is you can see it's the same coding, so I can easily delete this so it doesn't confuse me. Or I could, so then I just have one. But so you can see that this is the word frequency. The text search can make your life a lot easier, especially if you're looking for certain keywords or phrases in your literature. So just to show you, I could have also just gone to a text search and asked, for example, mobility, let's say, because that's something I'm looking for. And again, I want to find it in certain authors, and I'll run it. So again, I could have just put in the word mobility or internet, and it would find it also that way. So again, this to me is very, very helpful because I can find key things right away instead of reading through all my articles all at once. Okay, so now another way that the software can help you do that is we have what we call auto coding. So for this, again, I'm going to go to pick some literature articles, and I'm going to go to auto code. So I can auto code by theme or sentiment. Another way you can auto code, which researchers tend to like, is it's called existing coding patterns. So if you code, let's say 10% of your journal articles in NVivo yourself, NVivo will learn how you're coding, and then it will code the rest of it trying to follow your coding pattern. I'm not going to show this to you today, but that's something you can find in our help on how to do. So I'm going to go to themes here, go to next, and it's going to go through, you can see it's going through my journal articles right there. And it's showing me the themes using the algorithm that the software has found, so some of the same ones I saw. I can choose to, maybe I don't want one in here, I can take it out. And then when I hit next, it will code by sentences or paragraphs. I'm just going to do sentences. It actually saves the auto coding in a separate node folder, which is good, I think, because then I can decide, do I want to bring some of that into my folders I'm organizing or keep it separate? And then I'll finish here. And so now it'll give me 2 visuals to see what the software has found. So here, the first visual is a hierarchical chart. So I can see the different themes it pulled out and then open them individually if I wanted to look at them. The table I find is helpful. So it has all the articles that I chose and it's showing me the themes. So again, it might show me, oh, wow, this author's talking more about development than the other ones. Why is that? I might want to go in and look at that. So again, it's easy to, you can just double click and get right into that data, what they're saying in the article. So again, I sort of like this. So I would use this for a lit review just to see what's in the journal articles that I can pull out and maybe figure out, oh, maybe I should start looking at development with this author, or maybe there's a key theme that they're all talking about. So again, and then to find the auto-coded themes, it's in this folder right here on the left, and I can, you know, work from here too. So it does keep it separate. So I just want to show you that. You can also auto-code by sentiment. So I don't know if that would be helpful to people or not. With a lit review, in some cases it might be. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like so you just can get a sense of it. Again, I'm just going to pick a few articles, go to auto code and do identify sentiment. And it's going to pull up the positive and negative. And again, it's an algorithm that picks that up. Let's see there. So you can see it's running there. There, it's going to pop up. So I can see based on the article, positive, negative, mixed, neutral, and I have a table that can show me. So it might be interesting, like, if, you know, to look at that. Just different way to look at the data. And then if I go to my sentiment folder, I can open up and read what the software found that was positive or negative. Again, up to you if you find this helpful. So, so I just showed you a couple key ways to help you sort of look through the literature across. So the text search, the word frequency, and also the auto coding. Now I want to show you how you can use a query sort of to do that, to look across articles or the time frames that the articles were written. So for example, for a matrix coding query, I can create one. And in this case, I'm just going to pick some articles. And I just want to see what's been coded in these. Is there anything I can make out with that? So I'll go to nodes and my themes. So I'm going to pick some of these themes that I've already coded to, and I'll run the query. So here it's showing me, and I like to do the shading because it pulls things out. So interesting, none of these authors talked about tools, but they talked about spaces, some more than others, and mobility. So this author talked a lot about mobility. So I'll probably be citing that author when I talk about mobility. So again, it's just a different way to look at the literature. And you can create a chart if you find this helpful. I like that view better. And again, anything can be exported from NVivo. And then I just wanted to go to, because there's some queries, matrix queries that were already created here. So, so for example, you could do one topics over time. So if you have the dates obviously of the articles. You can see this might help you. Maybe there's a pattern you're seeing in the literature, and it might help you. This might help you find maybe gaps in the literature or talk towards that time frames. Another query that can help you with your looking across is actually a crosstab. So for this one, what I'll do is, and for this you need to have created cases. Oops, excuse me. Sorry, it's not getting me to the right. Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, let's try this. And then I picked these nodes here, and then with the author, I want to look across disciplines. Is there a difference in what the different disciplines said about these codes? Again, you can shade, and this can also be exported. Another part of NVivo that people use to help them look at their literature is it's a framework matrix. And these can be pretty powerful. So I'm going to show you how to create one and then show one that's already been created that I think has good information in it. So let me just go to, so for example, the framework matrix here, I'll just show you this. It says authors by reference or by theme. So I can do the same thing. I'll create a new one. And in this case, I do have to select cases. So I need to go to my authors. So I created cases in NVivo for each author. So then all that information about that author is included in NVivo. And then in the columns, I'm just going to select some codes. And I'll click OK. And so it's going to create this for me. Now, to get the information in the squares here, I need to hit auto summarize. And so now I can see by author what I found in their and so this could be across articles, right? So if I if I read maybe 5 articles by this author, it would then sort of synchronize or summarize across those two based on the coding I did. So that's where this can be helpful. This can be exported. So again, this is I would use this to help me write my literature review. I could export this to spreadsheet and I'd have everything right there. I can also, though, write my own notes here. So I'll do my initials, and so if it's something I want to think about when I write my literature review, I can write notes right there too. So again, this is another powerful way to use NVivo to help you with your literature review. Then some visuals to show you. I've shown you some charts and spreadsheets you can export, but you can also use our maps. So here, definitions, in this case, created our own concept map to help maybe understand how the literature is working within my research. So again, and that can be exported too if you needed to. I find some of the visuals can help when you're talking to maybe your advisor or you're on a research team to explain what you're seeing in the literature. I also just want to show you using just one, I'm just going to go to one article and explore tab, and I'm going to create an explore diagram. Now when this first comes up, it is very busy, so just hang in there with me. So you can see that is very busy, but what I can do is I can go and pick one item. Oop, no, sorry about that. I can get to the item, but I can also change the focus and just based on that one item, see what's happening. So some people do use that explore diagram just to look at things in a different light. And then just wanted to go back to the maps. So, again, you can bring in and create your own visual based on the project item. So this was based on one node and it's showing the different authors that the researcher read to come up with this theme or idea around mobility that they'd be writing about. So again, it's just different ways to visualize your data. So I'm going stop here and see if you have any questions, which I believe we do have questions.
Yep, we've got a few questions. So just a reminder, if you want to put any questions, the question tab is over in the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar control panel. The first question, what's the difference between annotation and memoing? How are they used differently?
Yep, good question. So let me just go back to our article because that's what I had shown. So think of annotations as so you can see that's, I found it, it's in blue, I highlighted in blue. Think of it as like if I had a article I was reading myself, paper format, I might be jotting little notes on the sides, on the margins or underneath just to remind myself, oh, this is important and why. So that's how I look at annotations. It's just little notes that I want to remind myself that are right on the on the article. So again, I can highlight it, right click and say new annotation, and then type in what I think's important, and then it will take me there where it is and I can read through it. So that's why people tend to use annotations. So it's more little ideas or thoughts. Think of it as like a sticky note idea. So nothing, it's a footnote for you, versus memos. And I had created thoughts on literature here. Memos are more, I'm going to be writing it and sort of reflecting, and I probably need more space and I'm going to write more about it. So that's why I use memos. Now you can link a memo to one item. So if I wanted to do, for example, a memo on a certain article, I could do that too, and link the memo to the article, like they've done that here. So if I go, okay, I'm just trying to classifications. So if I open up that memo, I can see it's about this this author, and it's links and memo link. So then open linked item. So now I can get to that article actually. So now I have both everything right next to each other. So that's hopefully that helped you.
The next question was around the searches. This only searches the articles that you've uploaded, is that correct?
Yes, the software, it can only search on what you bring into it. So that I just picked a few articles to search, but I could have searched through all of them also, but they have to be in the software.
Do we have to create the cases for the authors manually, or does the software do it automatically when we import documents?
So when you import a document, it will ask you to, so this is a Word document, but if I open that, it'd be a PDF too. You can create a case for each imported file. So if I clicked on that, it will ask me these questions, and then it would import as a case itself. If you're using bibliographical software like EndNote or any of these, when you import, it will create the cases based on the article, the information that was in EndNote into NVivo automatically.
Okay, and then the next question is, how do I import articles from Mendeley?
So you'd have to, I don't have Mendeley, but you would go to Mendeley, create your group of articles that you wanted to import into NVivo. You would export from Mendeley and to a file, and then then you'd open up NVivo and click on the Mendeley tab and bring those articles in. So you first have to export from the bibliographical software and then import into NVivo. I have done it with EndNote before. It's pretty seamless. You know, if I can do it, I'm sure you can too.
Okay. If you could be slightly diplomatic on the next question, are there any features in NVivo that are more helpful in literature review as compared to Atlas?
So I haven't used Atlas, so I'm not sure how that would work with literature review. So with NVivo, and I know Atlas does some of the same things, is being able to actually code on the literature, right? Opening up each document itself, and you can read through it and code it for themes. So maybe some of the same kind of searches. I'm guessing Atlas has some of these would be helpful, but the thing that we do have that Atlas doesn't is that auto coding feature I showed you by theme and sentiment, and the pattern-based coding, which I think could really help with literature searches. And that is something different. And I think some of the Explore, like a Explore diagram, is different too. And another big thing that's different too, I'm pretty positive we're the only ones who have the framework matrices that I showed you too. So hopefully that made sense.
And I think the last question is, why is cases and classifications important, and what can they be used for?
Mm-hmm. So here for classifications, you can see for my cases, I have all the authors, and in many of in these cases, there's 2 files for each one. So that means there's by author, I have 2 articles by each of these authors, it looks like, or in some 5. So what's nice is when you're doing literature review, you do tend to maybe find the same people writing about your topic. So it's helpful, then you can put them all together in one case. So everything that Vincent Kaufman wrote about that I've been reading is in his case. So that's one thing. It helps you organize that way, so that you might then want to do maybe just queries on certain authors. You have everything you have about that author in a case. Another thing it does is it helps here, and in this case we only have the attributes country and discipline from, but you might also have more information about the author. So then again, like I showed one query, I could see by discipline. So if my topic in this case, maybe more people are talking about mobility in this discipline in civil environmental engineering versus another one, maybe that's helpful for me to figure out gaps in the literature or where I need to find more information, or maybe the different countries. So that's a way for people. That's why it's helpful, because you can sort of go through your literature library in a different way than if you were just using bibliographical software or doing it yourself.
Perfect, that's everything.
Okay, so I just want to finish off just with a few more points. So, and I probably should have come to this right after, but that's all right. So in the packet you have with the PDF, it sort of shows you with the different parts of the literature review process where NVivo can really help you in different places. And this is just when people use literature review, I would recommend NVivo 12 Plus for you. And there's training we can offer too, not specifically on literature review yet, but on how to use NVivo. This is the community, and so I know Alex brought up this URL that if you just go to it from GoToWebinar, you can join the community. We're just asking for your name and email, and we'll just update you. Again, we're creating a global network within disciplines across organizations, and really trying to create a community of practice with qualitative and mixed methods research. and we'd really like to have your input and get you involved with the community. I'm excited that we're starting this. And if you want, you can also email me directly if you have any questions. And with that, oh, and upcoming webinars. I just wanted to say we're doing, our next one is actually a panel of program evaluators that are going to be talking about how to bring qualitative data into program evaluations. That's next week, and we're going to have one in March on effective strategies for program evaluation. And so one a month really through June on different topics about how to use NVivo for your research. So please just go to the link and you can register for more and tell your friends. And that is it for the webinar. And if you have any more questions, any other questions, Alex, or is it all set?
I think we do have one more. Can you talk about the difference between case classification and file classification, and can you run the same sorts of exploring of each?
Okay, case. It was case and
case classification and file classification.
Okay, so file classifications, so file classifications tend to be about more like around the literature documents. People would use that. So these are based on my my references here, or what I brought in. So so this is, for example, for this author, and this was probably brought in from bibliographical software. It's all the same data that is in something like EndNote comes in. And so that's why it's called a file versus a case. Typically is consider it your unit of analysis. So what you're studying. So that's why one reason in this case, when you're doing a lit review, you're studying articles and authors. Really, so that's why it's set up. But if you're doing qualitative research, your cases, it would be your participants you're interviewing, or if you're studying hospitals, it'd be the hospitals, that kind of thing. So that hopefully that makes sense. But I do want to say there's a really good help menu with NVivo that if you need clarification on anything, you can go here and it'll take you to the right place and help you through that. So this is a really good resource. I should have pointed that out earlier, but if I didn't make anything totally clear for you, I would definitely go here and read through it.
Perfect, that's all the questions.
All right, well, thanks everyone. Thanks for your time, and you can always, if you need to contact me with any further questions, please do so, and you'll also get a follow-up email with the recording of this too. So thanks, Alex.